You know that feeling when you're driving super late at night on some lonely, dark road and you get this weird sense of déjà vu? Like, haven't I passed that same weird looking tree already? Well, in Indian folklore, that feeling could be the very first sign that you've been caught by something called a chalava, a phantom of the highway.
And that's the absolute horror of it for the people it traps. They get stuck in this terrifying loop, driving for what feels like hours and hours, only to end up exactly where they started. It's like a prison made out of the road itself, with no walls and no escape. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down the anatomy of this mythological nightmare. We're going to use two really harrowing stories to figure out how this thing hunts, how it tricks you, and, most importantly, how you can possibly fight back.
Okay, so before we can figure out how to escape, we first need to understand what exactly we're dealing with. Let's meet the Chalava, the Night's Deceiver.
So the word chalava itself literally means deception or illusion. And the folklore says these are the restless spirits of people who died, tragically while traveling on the road. And now they're kind of stuck there, hunting anyone else who dares to travel after the sun goes down. All right, we know what it is, but let's get into how it actually works. See, this isn't some random jump scare. The chalava is smart, it's methodical, and it all begins with setting the perfect trap.
And this right here is the absolute key to its whole strategy. It doesn't just go after anybody. It waits for people who are vulnerable, travelers who are just worn out from exhaustion. Being tired isn't just a physical thing, right? It's a crack in your mental armor, and that's exactly what the Chalana is designed to slip through. So once it's got its target, the hunt is on. First, it creates that loop we talked about, right? Like the student's bus that kept finding itself back in the same creepy jungle, or the friend's car driving the same mountain road over and over again. All that disorientation just cranks up the fear and confusion. And in all that chaos, that's when it makes its final move. It joins them.
Now, once you're caught in its trap and it's literally walking among you, that's when you see the Shalava's real power. This thing is a master of psychological warfare. It creates these powerful, hyper-realistic illusions that are designed to totally break you from the inside. For instance, in one story, it conjured an entire village out of thin air, the actual hometown of one of the teachers on the bus. And then, it staged this absolutely horrific scene, the murder of his wife and kids right in front of him. All of it was just to crush him with grief so he'd take his own life. The creature even weaponizes the idea of safety. Think about it. It can create a roadside diner, right? A place you'd think is a refuge. But then you get inside, and the food it serves is crawling with insects. It's a total nightmare disguised as salvation. And it'll even invent fake threats just to throw you off. In one of the accounts, it created this illusion of a terrified girl running away from villagers with torches. The whole thing was a distraction, designed to make the travelers trust the real monster who was hiding right there in their group. Which brings us to the Chalawa's most terrifying power. It's not just a monster lurking in the dark. No, it's much worse. It wears the face of your friend. So how in the world do you find a monster that's hiding in plain sight?
Well, here's the horrifying secret. The Chalava doesn't just pretend to be one of you. Sometime early on, it secretly kills one person in the group, and then it takes their place, possessing their body so perfectly it's impossible to tell. And that's the dilemma, isn't it? Just imagine the paranoia. The person you've known for years, sitting right next to you, could be a phantom wearing their skin. How could you ever possibly know for sure?
Well, it turns out the creature can mimic a person, but it can't perfectly mimic their memories or, well, their humanity. In one case, the Chalava, disguised as a student, got caught in a simple lie about what his uncle did for a living. In another, the possessed friend was seen smiling, just calmly smiling, while everyone else was fighting for their lives. It's these tiny, inhuman mistakes, these little cracks in the facade, that are the only way to see the monster hiding behind the mask. Okay, so you've done the impossible. You've figured it out. You've seen the monster behind the mask. Now what? How do you actually fight a creature that literally controls the reality around you? Well, that brings us to the final showdown, escaping the nightmare.
According to the lore, there are rules to this game. The only way to win is to physically destroy the body it's wearing. Apparently, its soul doesn't have a very strong connection to the body, so destroying the vessel is enough to kick the spirit out. And here's a fascinating twist. If a human actually manages to defeat it,
The creature's own tormented soul is finally set free. So you're not just fighting for your own life, you're actually fighting for its liberation too.
And really, this is the thing to remember. The Kalava's power isn't just some supernatural magic. It's psychological. It literally feeds on your exhaustion and your panic. It turns friends against each other because it knows a divided group is way easier to conquer. It kind of proves that sometimes the scariest monsters aren't just the ones that hunt us. They're the ones that come from the fears we carry inside ourselves. So the real question is, on a long, dark road, which would fail you first? Your car or your courage?